Hey everyone, I'm Marsha. Thanks so much for tuning in to my channel again. And if you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And there's also like a little bell notification button that you can hit that's right beside the subscribe button. And pretty much if you hit that button, you'll be notified each time I upload a video. So make sure you subscribe so you'll never miss when I post a new video. So today I'm excited because I am sharing some of my favorite tips on how to make the perfect green smoothie. Now, a lot of times when I talk about green smoothies, or if I bring a green smoothie to work, or if I'm drinking one at home and I'm around my family and my friends and my coworkers, those that don't drink green smoothies, they're always like, ugh, what is that? That looks disgusting. Oh my gosh, how do you drink that? I could never drink that. Or if they've tried it, they're always like, I can't deal with the texture of it. It's just too thick. Or I can't take those little bits and pieces of spinach and kale and I feel like I'm chewing food. I just can't do it. I don't like the texture, blah, blah, blah. So today I decided to share with you some of my tips on how to get over some of those issues that people have when they make green smoothies. So if you would like to know my 5 favorite tips on how to make the perfect green smoothie, then just keep watching. All right, so tip number 1, which is probably the most important tip, is blend your greens first. Okay, blend the actual greens first. So whether that is spinach, kale, mixed greens, collard greens, celery, whatever the greens are, blend them first before you put any fruit in your smoothie. So you can either blend them with water, which is what I do, or you can use juice, milk, whatever liquid you like to use. Blend that liquid with the greens before you put anything else in your smoothie. Now, I personally use water in my smoothies because everything else has too much sugar, or I'm just used to water. Now, sometimes I will use like some organic apple juice, but that's very rare. And that's just if I feel like it. But most of the time I use water. And blending your greens first breaks down the greens and makes it like a juice consistency. So you want to blend them good with the water and till it's like a juice. You know, there's no more pulp, there's no more texture. It's just literally green juice. And I got that idea out of the 10-Day Green Smoothie Cleanse book. So I talk about this book a lot on my channel. And I have a lot of videos about doing this cleanse on my channel if you're interested. But the idea of blending your greens first is what I got out of this book from J.J. Smith. So, life-changing tip. So make sure you blend your greens first. Tip number 2 is use frozen fruit. Now, after you blended your greens and you blended it with water or whatever, and it's just literally runny, like a juice-like consistency, then you add your fruit. And the second tip is to use frozen fruit. Now, of course, you can use, fresh fruit, but frozen fruit helps to, number 1, make the smoothie cold, and it gives it, it thickens it back up so it tastes like a smoothie. Some people use ice. I hate using ice in my smoothie. Number 1, because I feel like the ice doesn't break down that well, and it makes the smoothie watery. Like it takes some of the flavor out of the smoothie. So I hate using ice. So to substitute ice, I use frozen fruit. Now, all of my fruit isn't frozen. Maybe I'll have like frozen strawberries, frozen peaches, frozen pineapple or mangoes, and then I might have fresh bananas and a fresh apple. But the majority of my fruit will be frozen. So that helps to kind of make the smoothie kind of thick, because you have this watery green juice. You need something to thicken it up. So use frozen fruit. Tip number 3 is whatever type of seeds or, you know, extra sugar or anything else that you like to put in your smoothie, kind of do it in the middle. Don't put it in at the very beginning with your greens, and don't put it in at the very end on top of everything. Try to do it in the middle. So I like to put flax seeds in my smoothies, and I like to put Truvia. Well, let me just say I like to use stevia. Whatever brand you have is fine, but I like to use stevia to sweeten up the smoothie. So what I usually do is I'll blend the greens. That's usually my step number 1. And then after I blend my greens with my water, then I will add my flaxseed and my stevia. And that's kind of like the middle layer. And then I'll dump my frozen fruit on top. So I suggest that because sometimes the flaxseed, or if you're using chia seed or whatever, protein powder mix, whatever you're using, you want it to kind of blend in and break down. Sometimes if you put it on the very top, it might not blend in well. All right, tip number 4 is don't be afraid to add more liquid. So sometimes, depending on what type of greens you're using and what type of fruit you're using, the smoothie will get too thick. And if you're following a recipe, you might be scared to, you know, add more juice or water. Don't be afraid to do that. That will help with the consistency and to make it pourable, where you could pour it out of the blender, you know, or you could drink it out of a straw. So sometimes I'm adding more water. You know, I blend, I kind of look to see how thick it is. If I feel like I need to add more water, I'll add more water. So that helps again with the overall, you know, smoothie texture, and to make it, you know, a nice smooth consistency. So tip number 4, even if you're following, you know, a recipe, don't be afraid to add more liquid. And my final tip number 5 is use a good blender. Okay, so this probably is one of the most important tips, because oftentimes if I'm talking to somebody and they're complaining about the texture and how their greens aren't broken down, a lot of times it's, you know, because they're not blending the greens first before they put anything else in. But the other reason is probably because they're not using a good blender. Now, good blenders, you know, can be expensive, but you can get some good ones that aren't expensive as well. So I think I've shown my blender on my channel a couple of times in some of my videos. Now, when I first started doing smoothies, I wasn't using the best blender, and I could tell. But I just stuck with it, you know, until I had, you know, enough money to get a good one. Then I purchased a Ninja blender, and it completely changed the game. Okay, so this is actually not that expensive. I got it off Amazon. I will leave a link below in the description box in case you're interested. And then, you know, eventually I might upgrade to some of the even more professional blenders. But right now, my Ninja blender is the bomb. Okay, so if you can afford to get a Ninja blender, it's not that expensive. Use a good blender. That will help with your green smoothies. Now, if you're just making fruit smoothies, maybe you can get away with a $30 blender. But once you start incorporating, you know, greens and kale and spinach and celery, you know, any type of greens that's thicker than fruit, you kind of need a good blender. So that is tip number 5, use a good blender. And that is all I have. That's all my tips for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below in the comments section. I'll respond to all of my questions. Thank you so much for any feedback. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I love making these videos for you guys. If you have any suggestions on videos that you would like to see me make, then please just let me know in the comment section below. All right, and that's all I have for you today. Until next time, see you later.